What is up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. We have a fantastic guest today, fan of the year for the Green Bay Packers. But before we get into that, let's talk about some sponsors. You know what I mean? Shout out to two great sponsors, probably the best sponsors of all time. Talking about Quick Trip and Nicolay Law. You know, you're heading up to Green Bay, maybe for the home game for the Green Bay Packers. You don't know where to get your tailgate supplies at. Quick Trip's got you covered. They got the brats, they got the cheese, they got the beer, they got all you need, and even a snack on the way to the game. You know what I mean? So head on over to Quick Trip, and if you are local, make sure you hammer that quick rewards card because they're giving away stuff, and you don't want to be missing out. You know what I mean? And also, Nicolay Law, if you get injured in an accident and whatnot, insurance companies trying to be weird with you. Nicolay Law is going to make sure you get what you're due, especially if you're missing work. You know what I mean? It can add up quick. So make sure if that happens to you. Hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, Nicolay Law. But let's bring in our guest today. You know what I mean? What is up, Dave? How you doing,
Hey, I'm doing well, Matt. What's going on? Thanks for having me.
dude? I'm excited to have you. You're actually someone who I want to talk to for a long time because you do a lot of stuff with the Packers. But let everyone know it. First of all, I feel I should have asked you this before, but your last name is it Lucero?
Yes, you
Oh,
got it right, Lucero.
all right. I'm bad at last names. I'm not good at first
No,
names
no,
either.
you.
Really, words in general hurt me.
well, well,
but
you got it. You got it. All good.
you are the Packers fan of the year. All right. First of all, like, how does that happen? Like, how does that whole situation, like when they like nominate you? Like, I'm assuming that they have like a big list. I wasn't on it. You know what I mean? No, but I'm saying is like they have a big list. I assume, and they kind of narrow it down. How does that whole process happen?
Yeah, it's new to me too. So the situation, I guess, it's sponsored by Captain Morgan, and it's the NFL Fan of the Year, and uh, you actually have to be nominated. So from what I understand, there was two nominations or a couple of letters that were sent on my behalf to the Captain Morgan team, and then from there they send the information to the Packers, and the Packers kind of rifle through the submissions, and they have a team that gets together and looks at the submissions and I find, from what I understand, there was a couple thousand submissions that went through, and they just decided to pick the one that best represented the fans. And in that case, I was lucky enough to be chosen.
That is awesome. All right, we're gonna back up
Yeah.
just a little bit. We're gonna get back to that, but I want to know for everyone watching right now or listening on the audio podcast. First of all, people on the audio podcast, shout out to you. We have on Spotify. You know they had that unwrap thing they had out today. Like people listen to my podcast in 13 different countries. I couldn't
Oh
list
wow.
13 countries right now. You know what I mean? I'm not that
Nice.
smart. But shout out to everyone who listens on the audio podcast. I truly appreciate it. But I want to step it back a little bit. How did you become a Packer fan? You know, you lived in Southern California. I read the bio for everyone. I'm actually going to throw this in the chat right now. While we are talking, you guys can go vote on NFL.com. I'm going to put in the comments here, and you can vote fan of the year. You know, go vote, then come back and watch the rest. But everyone, go vote. NFL fan of the year. He's Packer fan of the year, but the goal, NFL fan of the year. You know, let's make that happen. But
NFL Fan of the Year.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's in the comments, and anyone who's listening on the podcast, I will put it in the description. So go vote. You know what I mean? But how did you become a Packer fan? How did Dave over in Southern California become a cheesehead?
Yeah, it's a an interesting story, but I kind of feel like it's probably pretty common for us folks from Southern California. So I was a big Raider fan growing up, not only because most Hispanics are from Southern California, but I grew up a big Raider fan. And in the '90s, in 1994 to be exact, when the Rams and Raiders both left Los Angeles, obviously one went to Oakland, the other one to St. Louis. I just felt kind of pissed off or jaded a little bit with how could the franchise just leave the fans like that. And I was in high school, and at that time I was really into football and wanting to play football and go to college and play football. So football was like the most important thing to me. So when my team, the Raiders, left, I didn't have a team in mind, so I tuned in to watch football every Sunday, and the Packers were in their in the '90s were kicking ass and dominating, and so it was easy to tune in on Sundays and Brett. And I think when I started tuning in, he was in the second or third year of his MVP run, and just gravitated to watching the Packers week after week. Did a little bit of research, found out they had the most world championships, community owned, small market team, and I was just hooked. And since then, since 1994, I've just been a fan ever since, and obviously, it's pretty much taken over my life. But just a big fan. That's how I got started with being a Packer fan.
Dude, that's actually like makes so much sense because your team left, and you're like, I'm gonna go to a team that will never leave. I'm gonna go to
Yeah,
a team.
exactly.
It's kind of like you have a girlfriend that breaks your heart, and you're like,
Hmm.
I want to for sure that it's never gonna break my heart. I don't know if there's the same thing in in love life, but as a team, you could be like, hey, this team ain't going nowhere. Green Bay will never be moved. So I think that's a great thing. But so you were a fan like over there in the '90s. How did this whole SoCal Packer backers thing come to be? For
Yeah.
people who
So
don't
the
know,
thing about
before you answer, I just want to make sure people who don't know, SoCal Packer backers is a huge group. You got the Drew K. We're representing the hats right here. He's part of it. There's a lot of great people, and I want to talk about those other people too. But I just want to make sure everyone knows, like SoCal Packer backers, they do all types of big tailgates. They do all types of good stuff, and we'll talk about that. But I just want to make sure everyone understands what we're talking about here.
Yeah, yeah, no, appreciate that. So, in the 90s, especially as I got a little bit older, Packer fans, they're all over Los Angeles, they're all over Southern California, but that was a time before DirecTV, before the NFL package. So you had to go to find a location, find a spot to watch the game with other Packer fans. And over the years, it was hard. But when I did find people that were Packer fans that really legitimately want to watch the games, it was easy to do. The Packers were in the playoffs every year. So when you found your people, you found your people, and it wasn't hard to do.
Yeah.
But the actual Southern California Packer backers got started in 2012. I went to that Fail Mary game against the Seahawks. So having a full circle moment when we play the Seahawks next week. So I was looking I went to the game to Seattle with a friend of mine, and we were looking for a place to hang out or, trying to connect with other Packer fans. And we were walking the streets in Seattle around the stadium, and just happened to come across a humongous tailgate, a huge tailgate party, sea of green and gold. It was beautiful. As we approached, I saw a sign that said Northwest Packer Backers. And I just, at that point, was just like, I was hooked because I know if the Northwest could get a group together, I knew California had double, triple the amount of Packer fans. So I actually stole the idea. I wouldn't say stole the idea, but I connected with Jerry Garner, I believe is the president of the Northwest Packer Backers, and he kind of gave me the ins and outs of how to start a group and kind of getting them together. And that's originally how it started in 2012.
Yeah, so that's what you guys do. You guys just like connect because first of all, like the Liddy Liberty tailgate, give a shout out to
Mhm.
them. Anybody who has no on Liberty Street, first of all, I'll tell you if you can park there. There's like I feel like that is like a hidden gem I shouldn't be talking about on a podcast. But over there, I feel like it's like a hidden little spot where I mean it fills up for sure. But like I feel like because I usually get to games pretty early, always right in front of the Liberty tailgate. There's usually like a spot just waiting for me. I feel like there's a guy with a reserve sign because there's always seems to be a spot in the street. I mean, I get there pretty early because I like to tailgate. I like to get after it a little bit. But there's so many great people. So let, let's talk about these people because it's not just you. You are the president of the SoCal Packer
Mhm.
Backers. But let's talk about the people that help you and like do great stuff because there's a lot of people. First of all, the Southern California Packer people, like I at that tailgate, so many good people. They're all good
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
Um, Whenever I meet people, like a lot of people from California, they're all. I always say I got much respect for people who are fans from like other places because it's harder. It costs money to come to games.
Mhm.
I talk about this like when I talk about the UK. People are getting up at 3 in the morning to like watch games. That's insane. But the same thing like in other states, it's hard. But like there's the loyalty to like come to Green Bay and they pick their games they're gonna come to. That Liberty tailgate is always lit. There seems to be always California people from there. But who are some folks in your group that kind of make this thing happen?
Oh man, there's so many that I could name, but obviously shout out Drew Cave. He's been in my corner since day one. He really has. John Felix, Raul Rubio. There's been starting a group, and now you got to remember this was at a time before Instagram, before watch spots was a thing. Getting to people together was hard to do, but once we found, we got momentum, and I feel like this close knit group of people that have gotten together, Amanda Ponce and Junior and Terry. There's just been a number of people that have really stepped in and represented the club and represented it in the right way, but also take the time to travel, go to the games in Green Bay often, and then of course every time we do an away event where we organize group tickets, they're always the first one to sign up to say yes, I want to be there, I want to represent, I want to have a good time, and that's really what it's about in the spirit of connecting with other fans. That's really what I want to do, bring fans together.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely that's what happens. And you do like kind of pep rallies, kind of tailgates on away games, right? Especially like obviously
Yeah.
close to California. So how is that? Like how is first of all, how do you organize that? Like I can't even organize like
Oh,
a Thanksgiving over here. You know what I mean? I was just like we just
yeah.
won't do anything. So how do you organize? Because you have like I've talked to someone and they're like you have like this big event. You have bartenders. You have like the whole thing. You have uh, just like a massive tailgate, like for away stuff. How does that get worked in?
Well, the good question, but shout out to my wife because I'm going to tell you, I'm surprised she has not left me or divorced me 10 times over because it's a lot of work.
Oh
And
yeah.
every year I say the same thing. Okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And every year here I am. I have to start that process a year in advance. I have to say, I kind of send feelers out to people that I have a ton of respect for that are part of the group, part of the club. I'll say, hey, any interest in going to like next year? We have an away game in Pittsburgh. Are you any interest in going to Pittsburgh? And if I get the green light and they say, yeah, I'm interested, I reach out to the club. I'll reach out to the Steelers a year in advance and say I'm introduce myself. And a lot of times the clubs are, I'm sorry, the NFL franchises are really good to work with. There's been very few times where they've told me no, we're not interested. I want to put it out there. The one team that said no, no, thank you was the Minnesota Vikings. They were not interested in working
Ah.
with us. So, but like the Rams have been real, obviously local team, but they like money, so they know we come and we take over their stadium, and but they have worked with us. Cincinnati Bengals have worked with us. Tennessee Titans. So it's a big deal. It's a lot of work. But my goal is if I can get one or two people who are experiencing their first Packer game and then doing it with us. And we don't have the best seats, just so we're clear. We don't have the best seats, but it's really about the experience
Yeah.
and the tailgating the night before or the meetup the night before. And a lot of times it'll correlate or coincide with the Packers Everywhere event. So we really have our weekends planned when we go to these away games. And again, I just facilitate. And then the people go off. You get the rowdy people that like to be out all night and party and barely make game time. Then you get the responsible people who will be in
Dude,
bed by 10, and I'm one of those. So I got to tell you. So shout out to the responsible ones.
yeah, dude, shout out to No Way Jose. All right. What's his
Okay.
what's his real name? Obviously
Jose.
it's Jose. Obviously,
Yeah.
but like I just want to give him a shout. What's his last name?
Jose Garcia.
Oh yeah. So dude, that dude's an absolute legend. No Way Jose. Whenever I see him, I'm like, I gotta talk to him. I remember going to a game. I remember being at the Liberty tailgate, and they're like, "Hey, we have two." I wasn't going to the game. I was just there for the tailgate. I was to go home live stream, which is what I do. Which, by the way, I will be live streaming for the Lions game. For anyone watching, come hang out with me for a little bit. But and they're like, "Hey, we got two extra tickets," and Jose was like, "I'll take one." So now I'm at this game with Jose, right? And he's like
Uh-huh.
working. He's like, "Hey, let's take our shirts off." I'm like, "No, that's not what I do." You know what I mean? People know I'm fat. I don't need to like concrete it in there. I don't need to like
Same. Same.
give them proof. You know, I don't need to be a meme. But Jose is an absolute legend. He's a party animal. He he's fantastic. I love that
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. He really does have a heart of gold, man. That guy. He parties. He likes to have a good time, but he likes to represent the Packers the right way. So shout out to Jose.
Yeah, he's an absolute legend. So you do a lot for the Packers too, not just the Packers community, which you do a lot of great things for. You actually help with players putting on youth camps. You do
Mhm.
stuff. So, what exactly do you do like with the team?
So I have a relationship with Gray Rugamer, and it's funny because I fanboy every time Gray will text message me or call me because I remember in the '90s and early 2000s watching Gray play on the Packers. But he's the head of player development or player engagement, something, or the players need something, they want to do a community event, they want to give back, he'll reach out. And over the years, I've been fortunate enough to be asked and entrusted to do help with the code drive. That this year was Jordan Love. The year before it was Jair Alexander. But every time they're looking to give back to the community and they need help, they'll reach out to me. A couple years before that, we helped feed the community of Green Bay. So I'll facilitate getting the meals and taking care of that and delivering that. And obviously, it's not something I put out there because we're doing it in the spirit of just doing the right thing and helping the team out.
Yeah.
But the Packers do a lot of good, and I'm just a vessel, or I'm fortunate enough to be able to be asked to participate. So that's what we do, or that's what I do every year. But as far as the camps go, I'm fortunate to have a big community out in Southern California that every year we will help with Kenny Clark's
Mm.
holiday toy drive, which is he's advertising now. We help with this camp every year. We send a group of volunteers that will go and just help with whatever he needs. We're fortunate to help Keyshawn Nixon this year and last, and for the first time this summer, we were able to help out with Jordan Love in Bakersfield, California, to help out with his camp. So just blessings to be a part of being asked to help out in any way we can, and I'm honored that my people in Southern California step up to the plate every time, and they deliver, and I'm very proud of them for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like I say, like I told you this before that we started this. Anything I can do, like even promote it or whatever, let me know. I would love to
Mhm.
help. I think it's cool like when people like use what they got, whether it's a platform, whether it's whatever, to like do good stuff. I think it's cool that the Packers actually work with you. They
Yeah.
they avoid me like the plague. You know what I mean? They're like no, oh the drunk guy who does podcasts, we're good. No, but
Yeah, the
but
part of that though is that you know I have to be very responsible when I do these things, and I have to be very image conscious. But just like you, I'm a big fan, and I know that I kind of get nervous, and you know, I had put in my bio. There was a couple of years back where one of the players' agents reached out to me and asked if I could help facilitate getting some Halloween stuff for them. They were having a party and they wanted some goods to for their party, and they asked if I could deliver it, and I said, yeah, of course. You know, before you know you do Uber Eats or anything like that. Back in the day, they'd reach out to me for those types of things. So I delivered the goods. My wife and I delivered the goods there. The Packers were having a Halloween party there at the Railroad Museum there in Green Bay, and I dropped off the stuff, and I thought that was it. And his agent, the player's agent, I won't say his name because he's not very popular, asked if we wanted to stick around. And of course, my wife and I looked at each other and said, yes, absolutely. So we're much older than those kids that play on the Packers. So we were like the chaperones. We went to the back of the party and watched all of the Packer players walk in like kids in their costumes, excited to party. And it was a lot of fun. So these are opportunities that are once in a lifetime, but I'm super blessed and honored to be able to help in any way that I can and get those life experiences.
yeah, that's absolutely awesome. And for anyone who's just tuning in, I have the link in the comment section. You can go vote Dave fan of the year. So you're a Packer fan of the year because like last year they had Tom Grassi, right?
Hmm.
Raised like
Hmm.
$1 million, and he's raised so much money for great stuff. You're doing great stuff. You're not just you, but your whole and your wife. Shout out to your wife.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's because like people said to me like you should be fan of the year. Like, I don't do anything. I'm trying. I mean, I just don't know how to go about it. But I definitely want to use like the little platform that I have to like do good. Also, I'll let people know on Cameo, 100% of the proceeds go to suicide awareness. I don't do a lot of cameos. People don't really ask me, and I never promote it because I feel like a weirdo. He's like, "Hey, I'll make a video for you." That's why I will never take the money. I'll always give it
Oh,
to charity.
I think that would be a hit around Valentine's Day. No, for sure. I think you would. I think you'd go off the charts with that. Let's make that happen.
Dude, I had a few of them for like fantasy football where I
Uh
was
huh.
like, they're like, "Hey, roast my friend," this and that, and I was doing like, I'm not sure how good I am at it, so like, don't have high expectations. But it's all going to charity, so you're not giving me money.
Yeah.
But but yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely weird. But yeah, uh, so what's game day like for you? Yeah, you go to a lot of games. I've seen you around town all the time. I want to talk about that
Yeah.
after. But what's game day like for Dave?
So for me, I when I say that I am responsible, I mean
Mhm.
that in the most responsible way because uh, I am so in tune to the game, and the game means a lot to me that I don't get too I don't drink too much. I don't.
Yeah.
So the tailgate experience, it just depends on the group that I'm with, right? So if I have a big group, I have a lot of people in town, then I'll a lot of times we have a lot of events going on. Like most recently in Nashville, we did what was a party bus, and that was a lot of fun because we took over the streets of Nashville on a bus. There was 25. We took two buses, and we're just with flags and with the music blasting. Packer fans just taking over. So there's a lot of times where I have events going on, but if it's just a couple of friends, and we'll pull up to Lot 10 or pull up to Liberty Tailgate and just kind of just vibe with the people. A lot of times the games are big and they mean a lot, but just hanging out with people, connecting, that connection culture, talking football. That's really what the most important thing to me is. But routine, it's different from one game to the next, but
Oh yeah.
it's every game. That's for sure. There was a article that was written by the Green Bay Press Gazette that asked how many games that I've missed since 2010. I think I've missed two home games, and
Really?
since 2002. Yeah, I go to every game. It's just one of those things in the fall. My life is planned around the schedule, so I'm at every game.
Yeah, I don't. I've been going to like 4 games a year, last
Hmm.
couple, and but I do more live streams now, so I don't go to as many games. Especially like when it starts getting cold. The older I get, I love the cold. I always say I don't really like summer because like heat, especially start putting on pounds. Heat doesn't hit you the same as it used to. But like I love going to the games, but I do a lot of live streams now. But anyways, I don't know why I was talking about that. But you go to a lot of the shows, right? Like they got Inside the
Hmm.
Huddle, they got the Clubhouse Live. Um, I remember seeing you. Like I think the first time I met you, or at
Yeah.
least the first time I remember, right, is that you came up to me and you were like, "Hey, Matt, how's it going?" And I remember like I knew you. I was like, I didn't know everything about you like I do now, but I knew that you were kind of a big deal in the Packers community. Like you orchestrated stuff. You had a group, and I knew it was Southern California people. But I remember I was like, oh, that's awesome that like he knows me. But like, do you go to a lot of those shows?
Yeah, ever since I moved to Kentucky, I have not had the opportunity to go, but those were part of my regimen every week, to go to Inside the Huddle or, like at the bar, whoever the host was, especially when Kenny was hosting. But yeah, that's how we connected, and it's just a good opportunity to see the players from a different perspective, and then build relationships over the years. There's been a number of announcers and a number of players, and we watch them grow as players when they show up on the show. But it's been a number of years since I've been to them, but I remember connecting with you and seeing you, and then of course you're a legend now. So I wanted to tell everybody that I'm happy about this opportunity to share my story on the show. But everybody that I know that's a Packer fan knows Matt Ramage, and in some respects, I feel like I've made it now that I'm on your show because you've had some heavy hitters on the show. So thank you for taking the time to get me on there today.
Dude, I actually wanted to get you on a long time ago because I've always said like me, you, and Drew, and we could probably do that
Mhm.
like in the future. Drew's the man. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
He's like because like you're kind of low key, like you mentioned
Uh-huh.
before. You'd rather stay in the background. So like
Mhm.
it's good that you got a guy like Drew because Drew's all about being
Oh
out
yeah.
there in front, being out
Oh
there in
yeah.
front.
He's definitely the hype man for sure. He gets us all motivated, and he sometimes when he's got good ideas, he'll call or he'll message me and say, "Hey, we should do this," or "Hey, we should do that," because I'm at the back. Sometimes he reminds me that we part of what we do is grow this and get people together. And so he'll tell me, "Hey, I think this is a good idea," and it's been going on. This partnership has been going on for 12 years, 13 years, 13 seasons. But for those that don't know, Drew and I actually from the same small town in Colton, California, and we didn't even know that we went to high school together until we connected at the stadium there in the parking lot, and said, "We went to Colton High School. Oh, like we know each other." And so that tells you how Packer fans, are connected in some way, and we all get along because we're all rooting for the same thing.
So you guys went to high school together, but you like didn't
Yeah.
like talk like during high school, like you just were at the same school.
Yeah, we went to the same school. I'm 3 years older, I believe. He'll probably say much older than that because he doesn't want to date himself. But yeah, we all know the same people, and everybody that's I shouldn't say everybody, but the core group of people that helped me start this thing were from the town of Colton, California, and many of us went to high school together. So when we connect, just like brothers and sisters, we don't always get along and we don't always agree on a lot of things, but that's the best part about family. And this isn't a dictatorship by any means. Like they all have a voice, and they tell me when things aren't when we're not representing the right way, or they want to see this done or that done. So that's the best part about being from the same small town and kind of growing up rooting the Packers over the last 13 seasons together.
Yeah. So was Drew like cool in school? Like, was let's get into that. Like, was he like a dork? Like, what's going on over there in high school?
I cannot talk about Drew's high school days because again I was much older than him, and so I couldn't speak on that. But the funny part about it is when we were connecting, he'd say, "Hey, do you know this person? Hey, do you know that person?" And he would spend a lot of time playing basketball growing up, especially in high school at the school Paul J. Rogers, and that's where I would play basketball as well. So I'm sure we connected. We just didn't know we connected until 2013, I think it was. But shout out to Drew because I'm sure he was all the way live like that when we were in high school as he is now.
Yeah,
Good.
he didn't have a phone, but he was still shaking it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I want to get to this comment. So what's the TBSS hat, Matt? This is Drew Cave's hat. The Bears still suck. All right, you got the GPG Go Pack Go hat. You can get these from the Drew Cave on Instagram. He's got a lot of cool stuff. Hit him up, and he's gonna hook you up. So like Dave, like you see me, I'm ranting and raving about the Packers and whatnot. You're not much of a rant and raver. You just enjoy the team, or as it seems like from the outside, you're not out there giving predictions and whatnot. But like, how do you feel about this year's team?
I really really like the makeup of this team. I think they're a tough team. I think they're a physical team. Obviously, they're young, and I really like the direction the team is heading. And I feel like this might be the year when we make a deep run and make a run to the Super Bowl. Um, I like to give predictions and whatnot. I just don't do it on air or to other people because um, that's just I don't want to look like a dummy. But I will say I went on NBC the other day and I said I think I said 35-7 on the Dolphins game, and had they not given up that late touchdown, I thought that was pretty close. I thought we would smack them in the mouth and run the ball and be physical, and they'd quit based on the cold weather, and I think they did. So I guess
Yeah,
that's one prediction I got right.
I was way off on that one. I said the Packers would blow out the Bears by 30. I get
Mm,
excited sometimes,
yeah.
right? But then the Lion or the Dolphins game, I was like, all right, let's take it easy because I was wrong the week before. I didn't think the cold was going to bother. I even said I had a whole podcast. The cold's not going to bother me. It clearly did. It
Mhm,
clearly bothered him a
mhm.
ton. I mean, but you're coming from 70, like coming from California even, and then coming over here in the winter. That's like a big like that's a shock because living in Green Bay for as long as you did, you kind of get used to it slowly, right?
Yeah,
You kind of like
yeah,
it gets cold slowly, like 30 degrees. People don't understand this. 30 degrees, like the first time it hits 30, and 30 degrees the last time it hits 30 is totally different. And at the end, you're wearing shorts because like, oh, it's starting to get warmed up. We're not in like
right.
you know, just and but at the beginning, it is like right now I'm cold. I'm cold right now. I
Yeah,
got a heater like 2 feet away from me. I'm in my basement. I'm
Yeah.
freezing over here. But yeah, but like come the end of the year, it's not like that. So yeah, teams coming from that warm weather, that does affect him a lot. You know what I mean? Does it
Yeah,
affect
I
you like now, like not living in Green Bay when you come back?
it it 1000% does. I used to pride myself on being a big polar bear. Like I do not get cold. I enjoy the cold. I enjoy like bundling up. But the last couple of games that we've gone to now, we're fortunate enough that we have club seats. So every game,
Yeah.
we can be in the
Invite
element.
me.
I know life's tough. I was just telling someone about that. Life's tough. In our section, we get the person that does deep tissue massages for the fans that want a massage while the game's going on. But my wife loves it up there. I like being outside, but I'm not gonna lie. The last 2 games we've sat outside, and I forgot what that was like. It might be that I'm older, and certainly because I'm not. I'm definitely not skinnier, so I definitely have the layers to stay warm. But man, it's been tough. It's been tough adjusting once you're out of that cold element. And coincidentally, we were in Miami 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago before this game, and it was 85, 86 degrees. So for those guys that have to come from that weather to play in this weather, shit, I couldn't do it. There's no way. There's no way.
All right, so we got some comments here, some good ones too. You know what I mean? And if you have any comments, questions for Dave, hit him up. Let's get after it. But this it right here. Who would
Okay.
play Dave in a Hallmark movie is the best question ever. I saw someone ask it earlier. I think there's another fan from a different team that they're talking about making a movie about or whatever, or maybe they did.
Yeah.
But like, if they did make a movie about Packer, SoCal Packer backers, who would play Dave in a movie?
This is an easy one for me. So I don't know if anyone wants to answer, but for me, if someone was playing my life, I think it would be Kevin James, the King of Queens. It would be someone who would play me. I've been told that, so it's easy. It's always stuck. So yeah, I think that would play me.
Good. Kevin James. I was just watching him. He actually just lost a lot of weight, right? I
Oh
saw him
no.
doing stand up. I saw a clip. It's funny. He lost a lot of weight, and all the comments are like, he doesn't look healthy. Like, he lost weight. Leave. That thing, like, big guys like me, I get called fat every single day on my live stream. And then the guy loses weight, and they're like, he doesn't look healthy. Well, what do you want?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all used to feel that way when Luther Vandross would lose a lot of weight. We say that Luther just does not look healthy. So I get it. I don't know what I would look like if I was thin. I'm sure my wife would like me to figure that out, but I always say it's because I'm preparing for the winter months. But now that I'm not in Green Bay, I got to come up with another excuse, I guess.
Yeah, dude. I was skinny until I hit like 30. Once you hit 30, I try to tell my kids that, like, bro, you can just eat whatever now, but when you hit 30, dude, pizza rolls ain't gonna cut it. I still eat them though because they're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah. For sure.
let's get to a few more comments here. Let's see. I'm
Okay.
not even gonna read them. Let's just bring them up here. What we got here? Kentucky Dave. We're in Oklahoma now. There you go. Oh, that you know him, right?
Kurt. Oh yeah, Kurt.
Yeah,
Kurt,
yeah,
what's going
yeah.
on, Kurt? How are you?
How you
I saw
doing?
Kurt. Kurt had a really awesome man cave out in California, and he had um, been looking to move out of California for a while. So I guess he's set up and established in Oklahoma now. So Kurt, we'll have to get together sometime. You have to let me know next time you're out in Green Bay. We'll have to catch up. So yeah, Kurt's a great guy.
Good. Absolutely. So, what is one of the coolest things that you got to do from this? Like you talked about, you got interviewed by NBC. You got like, what are some cool things opportunities that happen for you?
I think the opportunities now is just to share my story, because at the end of the day, I started doing this because I wanted to bring fans together. As I said, I started this back in a time when there was no watch parties or watch spots. There was no
Yeah.
clubs, and now there's a million clubs.
Yeah.
My whole thing was just to bring people together, and I know just from the outside looking in, the opportunity and the ability to bring people together. I know I see lifelong friends, people that I've met that are Packer fans that are lifelong friends, and if they did it because they got together because of my club, that's important to me. But the job doesn't stop. Whether the Packers are 0-17 or win a Super Bowl, I just want to bring people together. And
Yeah.
and Packer fans, they do it the right way, and they're good. They're good sports for the most part. They're good sports, but we're passionate about our team, and that's really what I want to do, is to continue to do that. As far as opportunities, being able to, like I said, being able to share. This is special to me. Being a guest on your show is really important to me, and that's the big takeaway for me.
Oh, that I appreciate that. I think you're an absolute legend. Let's get to some more questions over here.
Okay.
Dave, will you be coming to the Jordan Love softball game in 2025?
Yes, I definitely will be going. So for the last 2 years, I've kind of and you had brought up the question about fundraising and things like that. For the last 2 years, I've had a number of things go on in my life. My wife was sick. I lost my brother, lost my dad, lost my mother-in-law. There's a lot of things going on, but now we're on this side of positive things happening, and I'm always wanting to pay it forward. So we're going to be a lot more involved in back in the fundraisers that help make this club so great. We've gone to the charity softball game for a number of years. The last time we did it, obviously, it was Aaron Jones' game. We will, and I know you were umpiring that game, Matt.
Were you
So,
there when I got yelled at?
yep, I was there. We were right there on the third base side. But yes, I plan on being there, Jesse. If we get an opportunity to connect, I'd love to do that.
So I want to ask you about that. First of all, I sorry about the stuff that you've been going through. That's a lot, and all the best to you and your family.
I
But
appreciate that.
So you were at the game when I got yelled at by Aaron Rodgers. First of all, like I posted that clip because I was on a podcast recently, Passion Pod. Anyone who wants to listen
Hmm.
to my life, like basically my life story. That's such a weird thing when someone has you on a podcast and they try to tell you a story because you're talking about you, kind of like you right now, where you're talking about yourself for so long, and nobody wants to talk about themselves
Yeah,
unless you're
right.
like Kanye West or whatever. But no, that's not a shot. You know what I mean? A little bit, but.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
so you were there at that game. Like, how did it look from
Hmm.
the stands? Because I just kind of want to know that because I felt like really small at that moment. But it was
Honestly,
fun.
I had no idea that was really what was happening. It wasn't until I think you said something on Instagram afterwards that we even knew that was going on. You know what I mean? Because at the time there were so many things going on, and at those games, everybody's coming around and trying to get autographs and whatnot. But I had no idea that was going on until you said something. So it didn't look bad to us.
Yeah, and they got. I do want to clarify. Like, there wasn't like a trashing of Aaron Rodgers because I said Aaron Rodgers yelled at me. He did, but I
Hmm.
was the umpire, right? So
Yeah,
so the players see me as the umpire. Like I'm a referee. But the people who told me what to do, they're like, to stand behind second base, you're the umpire, but you can go live on Instagram. So they were kind of like, you're not the umpire. You're just going to be there kind of thing. That's kind of how I saw. First of all, I'm not an umpire. I don't know. I don't watch baseball like that. I
yeah,
support the Brewers, but like I hope they do well, but I don't know all the rules. I don't watch all the games. And also don't see that well. You know what I mean? So I'm not like the guy that is the guy maybe should be umpired, but it was so much happening because like Zadarius Smith was there. I mentioned this on the podcast. Like he fist bumped me. His fist is like 4 times the size of mine. Like everyone was there. Like Kaiser, I remember he walked up to me and he was like, "Hey, I love
hmm
your Instagram," and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Like he knows I'm a
hmm
I'm a person. He knows who I am. And Josh Jackson's yelling my name like Matt
yeah,
Ramage. Like he was like doing all this stuff, and I was so starstruck and like so like like why am I here? Like why? How did this
yeah.
happen? Right?
How did this happen?
And
Yep.
then there was a slide at second base, and I'm just like, whoa, that was crazy. Like I had the best seat in the house, right? And then they're
Yeah.
like, what's the call? And I
You
didn't
froze.
know. I was just like, I just picked one. I was like, there's two
Huh?
options. I should have picked whatever Rodgers wanted. That's what I should have done.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the refs do with quarterbacks. I should have
Yep.
taken
Yeah.
their, with the star quarterbacks. I should have went that route. I just yelled out, so I think it was safe. I don't even remember what I yelled. But then also I know Aaron Rodgers is in my face yelling at me. Devontae Adams was a pitcher. He's running up to me. He's yelling at me. And I was just like, like, I don't know. I'm sorry. Like, there was well, I can't reverse it. I can't Uno
Yeah.
reverse them. And
Yeah.
and then like later on, Rogers looked at me. He said, "Are you umping or just hanging out?" And I was like, honestly, just kind of hanging out. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know
Yeah.
what to say to that. But then after, I actually DM'd Devontae Adams, and I apologized because I felt horrible. But Devontae Adams was like, "No, it's all in fun." I didn't take it personal. Like I was the umpire, I was the referee, and I screwed
Yeah.
up. It was my
Yeah.
fault. So it wasn't like I was like, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers yelled." First of all, I thought it was awesome because like after that, we went to my son's friend's graduation party, and all the dads were like, everyone's kind of heard about, hey, what happened? You got yelled at by Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers. They're like, high five. You know what I mean? I got
Yeah.
yelled at by Aaron Rodgers forever. No one can take that away from me. Maybe I didn't
Yeah.
graduate high school, but I got yelled at by Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams at the same time.
At some point, everyone's going to be yelled at by Aaron Rodgers, I think. So you just came earlier in life. So,
Dude, it was funny because I told the guy who like handled me or whatever, the guy who like kind of told me where to be and like,
yeah.
and I was like, Aaron Rodgers yelled at me. He's like, yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah.
No, all love to Aaron Rodgers. Like that's the day. I don't tell that story because I know some people like to take it like, oh, Aaron Rodgers, this and that. Like that's not why I tell that story. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I loved Aaron Rodgers after that. Like it wasn't a thing, but I think it's great. Like I'll tell my grandkids about that if I live long enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To your point, you brought up. So back to the Halloween story. It was actually Zadarius Smith's agent who reached out, and I got to tell you, despite the way he's been perceived in the media, if you know him as a person, he's a solid guy.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. He came over after my wife and I made the delivery there of the party supplies, and he took pictures with us, and then we did it again the following year. And he just he's a really down to earth guy. It's unfortunate the way his career has played out, but I do think Darius is a really really good guy.
Yeah. First of all, I'm cool with Preston Smith, and he's like really good friends with Zadarius Smith. I never met Zadarius Smith besides that, and he was cool to me. He knew I was a fan. I was just like, dude. And he came up, fist bumped me. Hey, how's it going? Whatever. He's probably looking to he's probably happy because I think the call benefited him because offense versus defense. So if Aaron Rodgers and Devontae are mad at me, Zadarius is like, yeah, buddy. But no, Zadarius, I have no issue with Zadarius. Like he left, whatever. That stuff happened. There was some like little bit, something going on there, or whatever. He plays with the Lions now, so this week not vibing with him completely. But I got no hate for Zadarius Smith. I don't. When players leave, I don't care how it happens. It's a business. Unless, like, the only player I've ever had a really problem with is Ryan Longwell because he trashed Green Bay after he left. And I don't anymore. That was ages ago. But, like, that's the only guy where I was like, screw him. Because he said fine dining in Green Bay is the Olive Garden. First of all, not wrong, but still kind of hurt. You know what I mean? I didn't love it. But, I don't trash players just because they leave. I don't it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I got you.
So we got another good comment over here. Dave, who is your favorite player on the team? This is from Erica over here on Twitter.
Another good question. So I tend to like the older Packer players, and on this particular team, there's not very many. But like whenever like Julius Peppers came over and Charles Woodson came over, those were people that I just wanted them to win that ring, and so I really rooted for those guys. All time favorite Packer, I could name a million of them, but Southern California guy, I really like Clay Matthews. But on this particular team, my favorite player, of course, 97, Kenny Clark, hometown kid, dude. San Bernardino, California.
Dude, let's talk about it. I do want to throw this comment up here because he's saying nice things about you. Today, shout out to Dave. He's the reason I made it out to my first game at Lambeau. That's from Joe Gonzalez.
Oh, yeah. Shout out, Joey. What's going on, Joey? So Joey is half of the tandem that did the song that was the anthem for our club for a long time with Young Trav. Yeah. And he's a really, really solid guy. And so those two definitely had love for the Packers and made a song. But had not been out to Lambeau Field, and I said, "Hey, we got to change that." So we made sure that happened for them, and they were able to get out to Green Bay for a game a number of years back. So, but shout out to Joey and Trav.
That's awesome. I think I've heard that song because like in videos and stuff that that you guys have posted. But like, let's talk about Kenny Clark because Kenny Clark is one of my favorites. Preston Smith was obviously one of my was my favorite player. He's over there in Steeler land over there now having a good time. But Kenny Clark's done my podcast like 4 times, and like the first 4 were horrible. Especially like the first one, I was like recording like on the speakerphone. It was just I was asking them back then. I didn't know what to ask players. I'm like like whatever, just asking him stupid stuff. But he kept coming back, and I assume I kept getting better. But Kenny Clark is a solid dude. But
Yes.
he's from your neck of the woods. You work with him. Let's give Kenny Clark his flowers. Like, let's talk about how great of a human he is. Because like beyond a player, like he is just so nice. Like having him on my podcast, he'd be like on a screen porch or whatever area he would be at, and he's so quiet and so like kind and like kind of like you're
Yeah.
not. He's not like screaming, but then you see him on the field and he's
Oh yeah.
he's getting after
Oh, yeah.
it. But yeah, Kenny Clark's awesome. Like, tell people like why he's your guy.
So Kenny is obviously from San Bernardino, California, and where I'm from is Colton. So the two cities are connected, and being from that part of California, if anyone knows anything about San Bernardino, it's a rough part of California. So when you make it from there, you've really made it. And Kenny has been nothing but solid from the moment he left high school, went to UCLA, and then got drafted by the Packers. He has always given back. He's always used his platform. He's always connected with the community and always gives back in any way that he can. The whole Clark family, his mom Nicole, she is just such a beautiful human being. She's always taking the lead for him when it's time to give back. And as far as that goes, solid guy. But as when he's on the field, he's a menace, right? I was watching. I was watching I was watching from my club seats the other day, and the best part about sitting up there, not only because it's warm and because they bring the food to you while you're watching the game, is that you can hear the broadcasts on being played when the game is being played. And one of the things that Tua had said is that it's very important that he knows where Kenny Clark is on the field at all times. So although he's getting double teams, he's getting triple teams, he's still responsible for making plays and for eating up blocks and making it happen. And that is something that I admire. He just does the grunt work and goes about his business very quietly and is a true professional. And that's why he's my number one guy.
Yeah, most definitely. He's my favorite player on the team right now. He takes a lot of double teams. He does it, and then switching from the different defense. He's just, I don't know. I love me some Kenny Clark, and I know a lot of people like have some type, you know how the haters be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like numbers don't justify like what on those interior defensive linemen.
Yeah,
is like, because that's like the hard dirty work. That's getting after it. It's like a car accident every play.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the hard part that people don't. If you're a real football head, you know that the nose tackle he's not going to get sacks. His job is to absorb the blocks and to create havoc at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, blow it up.
Exactly. And so much to the point where he was a number one draft pick. And before him, obviously, remember BJ Raji was the anchor for a long time.
Yeah.
So the people that say that's why I don't give my 2 cents on people have their opinions. But Kenny is worth his weight, and he's been doing a solid job for a number of years. And I love watching him perform, and I'm proud of the player he's become.
Yeah, and he started so young, right?
Yes,
like Kenny
exactly.
Clark started like he seems like he's been on the team since like Clay Matthews was here. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like it's been so long because he started. I feel like he was like 14, but I think he was like 21. I don't know what the average age is for a player, but I know he was a couple years younger because he's still young.
Yeah, the funny part about that is part of how I got connected with him is I went to the game, his first game in Jacksonville, first game as a pro, and I was wearing his 97 jersey, and I'm standing at the gate as they're getting on the bus, and I was yelling, Kenny, Kenny, and nothing did come over. And the young lady standing next to me said, hey, if you want to get his attention, you have to yell for his mom. And I said, really? And I said, she goes, yeah, yell Mama Clark, yell Mama Clark. So I said, Mama Clark. She turned around, looked at me, and she saw the 97 jersey. She pointed at me, and Kenny and Nicole just both walked over and signed my jersey, and it's framed on my wall. So that's kind of how that connection started. It's watching him at his first game, so it was awesome.
Dude, that's awesome. I actually have a Kenny Clark bobblehead right here.
Yeah.
So, like, when I first got this, I had Kenny Clark on my podcast, right? And I asked him about it. Like, what's it like seeing yourself, got a little bobblehead action going on over here? And he said, like, when those first came out, Like his mom bought them all. He said we got them all over the house. So like,
Nice.
but that's what I would do if my kid had a
Oh yeah.
bobblehead. I mean, my kids, they're not getting no bobbleheads.
Oh yeah.
But you know what I mean? But if they were an athlete, I knew my kid right out the gate. I watched him in middle school. I was like, he's not going to be an athlete. He needs to go to college. But
How come you don't have a bobblehead though?
yeah, I should. I don't. I think you have to do something to get
I think we got to
bobbleheads.
make that happen.
Yeah.
I'd buy your bobblehead. Let's
Yeah,
let's
we need to get
let's
a
talk to
bobblehead.
some folks.
And we can get the
Yeah.
eyes like move around a little bit. You know what I mean?
Ooh, someone's gonna take your idea, but I think that's a great idea. A bobblehead for sure.
Let's do a few more comments before we wrap this thing up. This one's gonna be hard to read. I definitely hope you win award, Dave, because you definitely deserve it. From hearing your story was fantastic. Everything you do for the Packers community is outstanding. Keep up the awesome work. That's from Jesse. That was a nice comment, Jesse.
All right, thank you,
You
Jesse.
know, because not all
Appreciate that.
comments are so friendly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I saw one on there that said something about all Packer fans being 300 pounds. I wish I was 300 pounds. I need to drop some weight to get to that number. But thank you for noticing. I appreciate that. Probably a
Dude,
Lions
first of
fan.
all, we have a few haters on YouTube, and like we have one that was like a Packer hater. We have one that was like Matt Ramage is a word I don't want to say.
Yeah.
We have so many, but I don't block them because I don't get a lot of views on YouTube. Let them
Yeah.
hate. You know what I mean? I can use the
no.
engagement.
I,
You know what I mean?
appreciate that. Yeah, for sure.
So you think the Packers? You know, they're in third place in the division. First of all, I don't care about the division. People talking about like, well, this is a make or break. This game, it's not, because even if the Packers lose, which I don't think they're gonna, but even if they lose, that the season is not over. I don't care about
No.
winning the division. When the Packers won a Super Bowl, they did not win the division. The Bears did. Probably, I think the last time they did, and the Packers did their thing. Everyone knows what happened there. But you think that you kind of mentioned it earlier, but let's get back into it a little bit. You think the Packers have a good enough team, get hot into the playoffs, finish off this season strong? Because I feel like the Lions, I don't know that I don't have the Packers schedule in front of me, but I feel like the Lions are one of the more harder teams that they have to play. Not to say anyone else is a scrub or whatever, but I feel like the Packers, with Jordan Love healthy, being able to run, because I feel like that was like the thing that was hindering him. He couldn't run, and that's a big part of his play style. So you feel like this team is good enough. Get hot, go in there, and go win the whole thing.
Yes. Yeah, I feel definitely good about where we're at. So you got the Lions, you got the Vikings still on deck, you got the Seahawks, the Saints, and then the Bears. And
Oh, see, you know.
yeah,
You
so
should be a
I feel
podcaster.
and the Lions actually have, if I'm not mistaken, they have the 49ers, which I get it, it's the 49ers, but they're going to play for pride, and that game's in Santa Clara, if I'm not mistaken. And they also have to play the Bills, I think. So the opportunity is right in front of us right now. After meaning the Packers, they have the opportunity to win the division if they start with a win tomorrow, and I feel really good about that. The Lions are banged up, and not because they're banged up, because that's football, right? And so the Packers could get healthy right now, and also I love Preston Smith. I know he's your guy, but Lucas Van Ness, now that he's getting snaps, is definitely showing why he was a first round draft pick. So if they can continue to get pressure, get turnovers on the back end, run the ball to create the play action, I feel like we're going to be a tough team to beat. And obviously, there's no pressure. They've shown they can go into anyone's house and win. I get it was last year's team, but this team's far more physical, and they have more of an identity now. And I feel really good about the chances of getting to the Super Bowl this year. I really do.
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think Jordan Love, like you say, obviously that leg's feeling better. Preston Smith, though, dude, I will say, because I see, you know, we talked about it earlier, like when players leave, like some trash talk, and like it doesn't need to be. Like Preston Smith requested a trade, but he did it because this defense wasn't fitting him or the team. You know, people were saying, well, he wasn't on the field very much. Yeah, that's why because everyone understood, like, he's a 3-4 linebacker. I feel like he's doing good in Pittsburgh. I don't watch all the Pittsburgh games, but I watch the highlights. All love to Preston Smith. I think he's a great fit in Pittsburgh. He seems like he's having a good time. I'm glad he's there. I'm glad he's having a good time. I'm glad he's happy or whatever. But yeah, there it is. Everyone, go vote Dave, NFL Fan of the Year. What would that mean to you to be? Because you're Packers Fan of the Year, which is a huge thing, and it's probably enough for you, right? Like I can't imagine being a Packer Fan of the Year like that. especially 'cause the Packers are saying you're that guy, right? But what would that mean for you to get NFL Fan of the Year?
Honestly, I don't even know what the gift or the prize is for winning the NFL Fan of the Year. And I know this is going to sound like a line, but I don't care. I am proud to be the Packers Fan of the Year, and that's what I care about. Honestly, I don't care. If you want to vote for me, I appreciate that because we want to represent the Packers fan base, right? Because I'm an extension of millions and millions of fans. And I want to win because that's what that's what we want. We want the
Yeah.
Packers to win. I want to win. But I don't care if I win. I am the Packers representative. That means the most to me. That means I'm representing you. That means I'm representing everyone that's on this podcast or on this YouTube channel, but also all the fans, and that's most important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a good answer. I'd be like, I want to win it all, baby. No, but like, no, I think it's amazing because the Packers see you and like you're that guy. You do a lot of great stuff in the community. You help Packer fans unite in different ways. You help the players with their charity stuff. It's amazing, dude. You know what I mean? All right, we're gonna wrap this thing up, but Dave, stick around with me.
Okay.
I want to chat after this, but I do appreciate everyone who tuned in live and people who are listening on the podcast. If you're not listening on the podcast, download the Matt Ramage Show everywhere that you listen to podcasts. We're gonna have a lot more fun conversations come up. We're gonna have Ben Chan, Jeopardy champion. Supposed to have him on a while back, but my internet issues. But that's gonna be a fun one.
Nice.
I'm probably the smartest person I ever talked to, second to you. You know what I mean?
No, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Ben's as well. I've seen him a number of times on Jeopardy. That's going to be awesome. I'm tuning in for that for sure.
Yeah. He's awesome. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Big shout to Quick Trip and Nicolay Law. Great, fantastic sponsors I don't deserve. I appreciate y'all. Go Pack Go. We're going to wrap this thing up. I appreciate everyone who tuned in live and said nice things to Dave and that one hater, but you got to have haters. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. For sure.
That's how you know you're doing things right. All right, we are out of here.
Thank you.